And welcome to Greifenhorst, my medieval fantasy playthrough, Let's Play series, where basically I'm trying to make the world safe for all the different versions of humanity, or humanoidy. Anyway, in this last episode, our central staircase here has been working its way up from bedrock, and we got to the point where we reached the level where we will build the metro station, or more to the point, the metro concourse, where the Nether portal will live. So I took the opportunity to actually build the room that will house the Nether portal. Built the Nether portal, and now we can go out there. Now, normally, my next step would be to start building a foothold in the Nether, and where I usually start is I dig down to bedrock at 0, just as I've done here, and I build the central staircase there. Though that one's a little different in that since there's no sky in the Nether, I basically build the central staircase all the way to the top of the Nether, where you hit bedrock again, and then that column is now the center of a fortress complex. Now, it can take many different shapes depending on how that bit of the Nether is structured. For example, if the Nether is structured so that I open out into a big open space that's kind of like open air with a ceiling way high above, I might not send the central stair all the way to the top. I may just build like a more traditional type of castle or surface structure. Or if it does go all the way up, with cliffs and rock and such, then I'll take this all the way to the top, and then I will build. Basically, I will adapt to whatever I have to work with. It's hard to say. It's inconsistent, right? As my wife hates when I use it, it just depends, right? But with that being said, I know I can't do that because while at the moment I do have plenty of deep slate, cobble, and even some deep slate, which I plan to use for the castle here in the overworld, I don't like using it in the Nether because it's too dark. Right, in the Nether, everything in the Nether is dark, and so I like to use good old-fashioned stone in the Nether because normally I can get lots of it, and it's lighter and brighter. And I'm kind of like flying the flag, right? It's kind of like we're making our footstep into the Nether, and we're kind of declaring ourselves that here we are, invaders from the overworld. Back off. That back off part almost never works, but it's the message I'm trying to convey, right? Just, back off, pal. I'm the new kid in town, or new sheriff in town. Yeah, that's even better. Anyway, but as we discovered in the last episode, I have just a handful of cobblestone left. So I'm rethinking. For this episode, what I want to do is get all my stones sorted into my temporary storage, and then I want to actually generate a bunch of cobblestone. Now, when I say generate, I don't really mean generate like lava and water and chipping away the results. I mean generate as in dig it out, mine it out. Now, the central stair, as you saw, we started in the deep slate and we're working our way up, and so I'm generating a lot of deep slate. What I'd like to do today is come in from the top and work just down below the dirt layer, and that's where there's a lot of cobblestone, right? And of course, granite and diorite and andesite and all the classics, the oldie golden oldies. So that's the goal today. Now, with all that said, I'm actually doing pretty good on minerals and ores and metals, but that should get increased quite a bit. So we will take a look at that. Something else I'm thinking about is the possibility of retooling my armor. Now, I've talked about this in the past, right? Right now, I've got vanilla armor. It doesn't look vanilla because I am running the Lithos HD resource pack, and they do an awesome job of making vanilla armor look less vanilla-y. And I love it. But I am running a medieval fantasy pack, and that opened up all sorts of possibilities. And so I grabbed the Epic Armor series, Epic Knights, I think it is. And Epic Knights mod. And there are some really great options. And they're made of steel, not necessarily iron, steel, which means you take your iron and you re-smelt it again. And this stuff, I think it's about as good as netherite. So here's netherite. This one's giving me 3, 8, 6, and 3. 3, 8, 6, 14. So that's 20 points total. And if I do this epic stuff, I've got 3, 8. 3, 8, 5, and 2. So that's 18, right? Unless I'm getting it wrong. But it's not quite as good, but that's still pretty good considering you didn't need any netherite. So I'm thinking about that. I'm not quite sure I'll do it this time because what I grabbed here was like the first. You see, there's 16 pages on this mod. Actually, I have the Epic Knights and several add-ons. So, but still, there's 16 pages of armor to look at. So, I'm gonna have to just figure out what my options are and see if it's worthwhile. But I'll need a blast furnace to do it. Blast furnace is kind of pricey in iron, but I got plenty. That's not a problem. The thing is it requires a smooth stone, which I don't have. I'm gonna have to make some. And again, that's not a problem, except smooth stone requires ultimately stone, which requires cobblestone, and that is the one thing that I'm hurting on at the moment. So that you can kind of see where the stone is a blocking issue for me on a number of levels. But that is the plan today. Now, I also want to possibly make some headway on opening up this space down here. Now, don't forget this space that I'm opening up. For now, I'm using it as a garden, to grow crops and trees and stuff. But it will eventually be the courtyard, or what we call the bailey of the castle. And so that's an important piece. I need to expand that, and I'm also as I'm expanding that, I am marking the border of the inner castle wall, right? And we need the deep slate for that. So lots of stuff to do. And it's kind of interesting, like compared to New Londinium, where I've spent a lot of time on the manor house. I have a big, beautiful manor house to show for my time, but not much else. And here, I've actually made a lot of headway in the central stair, a big chunk of the yard here. I'm even in the Nether on purpose, by plan, on schedule, and things are going great. But I really don't have much in way of a permanent structure, right? Which it's just interesting how these things play out, right? Different mod mixes, different goals or projects ultimately. But here we go. As you may have, that was exactly the point I was about to make, is as you may remember from previous episodes and in other series, we still have a little bit of a latency problem. I've minimized distant horizons as far as it will go, so the latency is 98% of the time or better, quite livable. Every once in a while, though, it goes off into limbo and go read a book or something. But this is where we are now. This is exactly what I need. This is the stone that's going to get me cobblestone. But I want to go ahead and talk to you about a few things while I'm doing this. For one, and personally, this is personally dear to me. We are almost up to 900 subscribers, right? And normally I don't bother bugging you guys about this thing. If you subscribe, fine. If you don't, fine. But in this case, 1,000 is a golden number, right? Once we get to 1,000, I will pretty much go back to not saying anything. But I need the 1,000. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please, by all means, do so now. It's right now, that is the single biggest thing you can do to support me, and I would greatly appreciate that. The second thing, is that we had, I think we had a really great a live stream last Sunday, and just to review what happened there. First of all, the scheduled live streams, we've just kind of fallen into a pattern, like I originally anticipated, that it'd be like a collaborative working session. We'll pick a mod. If I know it, fine. If I don't know it, that's fine too. And we would collaboratively show it off, walk it through it, learn about it together, right? If people have ideas, we'll try them, what have you. And we did it with the Create mod, which was a rocky start. Oops, didn't mean to go all the way through. Okay, well, the light's better now, so we'll fix it later, but for now, we'll keep it. But that was an interesting episode just for a number of different reasons. But then we had one on Tinker's Construct, and I think that one went much better. Now, the last one we just had, we took a different direction. I said, hey, how about, let's check out these content mods, specifically furnitures and deco mods. And everybody chose, well, not everybody, but most everybody chose Macaw's Furniture. So I said, awesome. Now, I have Macaw's Furniture in the mod pack for most of my, I think for all of my Minecraft Let's Plays. Thing is, I haven't really used it much. I mean, if you've been watching Let's Plays, including this one, you see at the moment I don't have a lot of need for furniture because I'm still trying to build the structures that the furniture would go in. So I haven't played around with the mod much. Now, I know some of the basics, and so the day before we did the live stream, I pulled out the Macaw's Furniture mod, and I started playing with it, and I said, this is awesome. There's some great stuff here. The problem is I ran through all of it on my own within about 10 to 15 minutes. And the live stream is supposed to be about 2 hours. So I went into the live stream knowing that this would probably be the case, and so I already had queued up Fantasy's Furniture because I said, I think that was another strong contender in the voting, so we'll just do a twofer, right? If we run out of one and nobody has any questions, then we'll just do the other one. Now, that strategy paid off. That strategy paid off very well. We went through Macaw's Furniture. We had some great questions, observations. Everybody enjoyed that part, but it took 15 minutes, and then I said, okay, I knew this was going to happen, so here's Fantasy Furniture. And we went through Fantasy's Furniture, and that was also a great session. We got maybe another 30 minutes out of it. Problem is then we ran out on that one too. Kind of the same deal. So I basically ran out and grabbed all the Macaw's mods, and then we just walked through all of them. And that was great. I mean, none of the mods by themselves are huge and could generate, 2 hours of detailed content discussion. But all of them together, it was great. It was really great. And so, taking a page from that book, in the next scheduled live stream, we're going to go over vehicle mods. Now, I don't remember the exact list of mods I'll go over or the exact order, but we'll basically approach it the same way. Start at the top of the list, work our way down. If we go through it and nobody has questions or want, or even want to try an experiment, then we'll say, okay, that one's done, and then we'll grab the next one off the list. And we keep going until we either run out of time or mods or questions. So I'm looking forward to that. I do know on the list, I don't know where on the, well, I know that the first one on the list is immersive aircraft. So that one's going to be a big favorite. I'm pretty sure there's immersive machinery, small ships, auto mobility, create cart. Oh, I think the very top of the list is Asticore carts, which is an underrated mod in my opinion, especially if you have a themed mod pack. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do. So if you can, I mean, well, actually by the time you watch this, that'll probably would have passed, but that's where we're headed with these streams. That's the type of thing that's on the table. So if you have ideas about future scheduled live streams or mods you want to see covered or whatever, by all means, you have an open channel, just pop in a comment. I read all the comments. At the moment, it's really easy to do because there's so few of them, but maybe, and in the future, I might have to rethink that, but if that future is months, years, decades, perhaps never going to happen. So don't worry about that in the near term, certainly. What was the other thing I want to talk to you about? So now again, too, this will probably be passed by the time you read this, but it's time to start another Let's Play, right? And the reason I say that is my 3 main Let's Plays are the 3 Minecraft ones. So there's this one, Greifenhorst. There's also New Londinium and From the Rubble. And those were my main ones. And then for whatever reason, I got a wild hair and I decided to do one for Satisfactory. It's called Mostly Satisfactory. And one thing led to another, and so there became a natural cadence where I would do one of the big 3, and then I would do some other video. It turned out to always be Mostly Satisfactory. So I was ripping through the Mostly Satisfactory videos much faster than the actual main series. So now I've spun up a 5th Let's Play, which is Rediscovered, and that's for Vintage Story. I'm really enjoying that. I think you guys will too. But that now brings up 5, right? Which it's kind of off. So now if I do a complete round of videos, I hit the big 3 once, and then I'm going to hit the little 2. One of them will get hit once, one will get twice, which means they're still advancing further than my main 3. So at that point I figured, well, let's just do 6. It's not going to cause me any extra work on a regular basis or time, because it's the same rotation, right? It's just which video I work on instead of what I was working on before. And we're still going through the process of trying to figure that one out, right? So it looks like the survival games edged out the zoo and amusement park games, and it was close. So next time I get a hankering to start a new series, we will just go ahead and go with a zoo or amusement park theme. But one of the things I discovered is when I was looking at when I was looking at the list of survival games, it was kind of wacky in that I had some that were survival city builders, right? And I had some that are like kind of first-person individual survivals. But the vote was for the category, which included both. So I said, okay, so we'll go with that category, but I need more clarity. So I've created 3 polls. One poll to help draw clarity as to whether we should build a survival city builder or a personal survival builder. And then the other 2 polls are for those 2 categories. So one says, here's for survival city builders, and here's for individual survival builders. And so again, it'll probably be all done and over with by the time you watch this. But these are the types of things that you will see happen in my posts on a fairly regular basis. And the commentary and questions get even more detailed in the Discord. So if you'd like to be a part of that conversation, the easy way to get there is to be a channel member, right? Join the channel members, and then you have access to the Discord. And we have some interesting discussions that go on over there. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all. So that's all the news that's fit to print, I guess. Except I don't print it. But now, as far as those other series goes, so mostly Satisfactory. It's a science fiction one. It's based on a planet far, far away. And I'm having a lot of fun with that. But the funny thing is, it's a very, I wouldn't call it a cozy experience, but it is a casual, mellow experience. And I'm really enjoying the pacing and how they set things up. So, I mean, we're now like 16 hours into the gameplay. And I just finished episode 16, and I finally got vehicles, and I've been able to explore the newbie starting area I'm in more fully. I haven't even seen it all yet. So, I mean, it just got me 16 hours to where I could do that. And I would imagine, like, the hardcore folks, the people who live and breathe Satisfactory, the people who've played 10,000 hours already, I would imagine that this is pretty annoying and they're quite impatient for me to just get on with it. But I also suspect that those are the same people who are watching me go through all my newbie mistakes, and they just can't watch, right? And he's just like, I can't watch this guy do this. For the love of God, will you learn how to use the shortcuts? It's like, yeah, I haven't got there yet. So they're probably not watching, so I'm probably not annoying them as much as I imagine I am. But, anyway, I'm not really playing it for them anyway. I mean, I'm playing the games for me. So if I'm not having fun, I won't keep doing it. But I think there's value for other folks, the people who weren't like just born playing Satisfactory, the people who are like, well, I've played a little bit, but I want to see your take on it, or I've been thinking about this game. Let's see what you do, and maybe that'll convince me. And then I do know there's a few advanced people who do watch it because they're just curious to see how my mind works, or probably more accurately, if it works. So they watch just to see the natural process as I go through it. On the other hand, Rediscovered, that's in Vintage Story. Vintage Story is truly a survival-based game, right? I mean, in the vanilla game, as far as I know, the only other people in the game world are traders, and they never leave their little carts or huts or whatever they have. So you are, for most intents and purposes, pretty much alone in that world. And it is a survival world, and you start with nothing. And so, I mean, you start with nothing in Minecraft, but in Minecraft, with your bare hand, you can go knock down a tree, and then boom, you've got tools. Wooden tools, yeah, but there's still tools nonetheless, right? In Vintage Story, you start with nothing, and you got to go scrounge sticks and stones off the ground before you can knock down a tree, right? Because you're going to have to go nap an axe head and attach it to a stick to make an axe, and then you can actually go cut down a tree, and it's everything goes in a more complex cycle from there. So it is it sounds harsh, and if you've played Terra Firma Craft, the mod in Minecraft, then you already have a very good idea of what's involved. Though I would put a couple caveats in that Terra Firma Craft over the years has gotten more complex and hardcore, and while Vintage Story definitely is going out of its way to add complexity to the everyday tasks that in Minecraft you just throw stuff in a crafting grid and you're done. It is going out of its way. I don't think it's going quite as deep as Terra Firma Craft. And I think I kind of like that middle of the road approach. So there's that. Plus the idea too that they rebuilt their game engine from scratch. So while it very much looks like Minecraft, smells like Minecraft, tastes like Minecraft, it isn't Minecraft. And I think there's a lot of value there. I mean, when I'm playing it, it has its own built-in shaders and stuff, and so the vanilla experience looks radically better than the vanilla Minecraft experience. And the content that's available is very cool and interesting. And of course, because of this focus on kind of like realism and actual survival mechanics, it also makes a lot more sense. It's good. I mean, you could still get your floating rocks and stuff that are a hallmark of Minecraft worlds. So it's not 100% super realistic, but it is still engrossing. Now, here's the thing. I just told you that it's a survival world, right? And let's face it, the first few days you're out there, starvation is just around the corner. And all that sounds harsh. And I guess it kind of is, right? But I got to tell you that ultimately playing Vintage Story is the coziest computer gaming experience I've ever had, right? I mean, when you're first starting and you're running to try not to get eaten by wolves, and you have no shelter and you're sleeping out in the woods, and these these alternate reality bad guys come. Man, I did it again. These alternate reality monster types come at you. That's not cozy, but within fairly short order, you're going to have a shelter. You're going to have a little campfire. You're going to be cooking food. You're going to be storing food and processing food. And at that point, it really does become cozy, except for the occasional wolf or bear attack. It is crazy cozy. And I find that I never really consider myself a cozy player per se. I do find the cozy videos interesting, and in creating once I was aware of the genre and I started making my own videos, then I started to realize that there were a lot of elements that was cozy about my worlds. Well, guess what, folks? Vintage Story really, I guess, has me fully converted. I mean, I still play from the rubble. There's nothing cozy about that world, but yeah, I think I can deal with some cozy. It's got to be balanced out, though. So that is all the stuff. Now I'm trying to see if I can remember the mods for the next series. I mean, not the mods, the games. So on the city builders or the town builders, survival settlement builder, there's Banished, and I believe Land of the Vikings is there, and Settlement Survival, which has a very clever title. And I think the other one is Frostpunk, which, by the way, it's too late for you now, but when I got that, they had Frostpunk, the base game, and all the DLC for some crazy low price, like $10 or something. And I said, okay, so I took it. So those are the survival city builders, and then for the individual builders, I think I chose, or people are going to choose between Valheim, Raft. Then there's another one called Grown Up. Anyhow, it's basically where you're shrunk to the size of insects and you're in a yard, and you're going to have to build and adapt in a yard. I find that interesting. And the other one, which I had never heard of, but I found while I was trying to find titles, is the Void Train, which is, if you're familiar with Raft, then you're kind of familiar with Void Train, right? Where Raft is you on a raft in the ocean, where you occasionally find an island, and mostly you pick up flotsam and jetsam from the waters around you. The Void Train's kind of the same deal. I don't know the backstory, but basically you're on some type of train that's going through dimensions, and you're picking up dimensional flotsam and jetsam. And when you are in individual dimensions, there may be places you can stop or at least get off the train and check out to procure more stuff and expand, build, or improve your train. So, very similar concept. And in both cases, what they kind of remind me of, yeah, I did it again. What they kind of remind me of is like Star Trek Voyager, right? You are far, far away from home, or there is no home. You have a limited amount of stuff with you, and you're going to have to make the best use of that and what you find on the way as you continue moving forward, right? That is pretty cool. And in a lot of ways, if you watched... like, say, Yellowstone's prequel, 1883, right? 1883 was the story of a wagon train that basically left Texas and got as far as Montana before the whole thing fell apart. I mean, some of the people eventually got to Oregon the next year, but the bottom line is it's kind of the same deal. They had what they had with them. They were losing stuff on the way, but it was also a matter of what they could find and use on their trip. And I think those types of stories make for interesting telling, right? I think they can be very engrossing, very interesting. So anyhow, we'll kind of see what the audience says, because this one I'm kind of leading the audience. Now, I know a lot of people say, hey, you don't leave things to the audience. And I know what they're saying, right? Because then the audience might ask for something I don't want to do. But you see, I'm not... I mean, I know I sometimes look, sound, and act like an idiot, but I'm not a complete idiot. And what I'm saying here is, I get that. And based on my experience, it's worthwhile to go ahead and give people options, but make sure that the options I give them are all options I'm willing to go with. Right, so I didn't say, "Hey, you guys, pick your favorite game and tell me what it is, and I'll maybe we'll do it." I said, "Here's a list of choices," and basically what I'm saying is, I'm cool with any of these choices. Now you guys just help me decide which one. The sad part of it is, I mean, and I don't know, maybe it's sad, maybe it's not. Out of all these games I listed. And in fact, all the games I listed in the original poll, I own all but 2 of those already. And yet, even knowing I own all but 2, I mean, I think I originally listed something like close to 20 games. Only 3 or 4 of them have I ever played before, and only 1 or 2 of those have I ever played beyond, say, like 10, 20 hours. So, for the most part, almost all of these games are going to be... they're basically going to be new to me experiences, because even if I spent some time in them, it was time in them 5, 10, 15 years ago, and I don't remember that. I don't remember what I learned then. I think Valheim is probably the one I played the most and the most recent, so that one would probably be the least amount of wrap-up time and the least amount of me probably getting myself killed over and over. That being said, maybe not, right? I do remember when I was playing Valheim back in the day, the most nastiest monster in the game was those stupid mosquitoes from hell that would, they're the size of a cat, and they would come at you, and they're really hard to hit, and they hit incredibly hard. And of course, the way these things work, they're in areas where you absolutely want to get stuff and resources out of those areas, but they're mosquito infested. It's and they'll eat you alive. It's kind of like Minnesota in the summer. Oh gosh, and then the goblins. Oh yeah, I remember the goblins. They hit hard, especially until we got some decent equipment. Then it wasn't so bad, but but the trolls. The trolls are a pain in the butt. Let's just call it what it is. I remember I hated the trolls because the reason I hated the trolls is I'm a builder, right? I love building, and I spend a lot of time building stuff, and here comes some stupid troll that just starts bashing my creation to pieces. Even though I tried to design a creation that would keep us safe from trolls. Speaking of safe from something, that guy, he blew up, but he didn't leave much of a crater. It's like, was he in the air when he blew up? I mean, I'm looking at the grass, and except for the places I dug, that guy was like a limpet mine, because the only thing that was damaged was me. Anyway, so the thing about the trolls is you build your structure, and you're actually kind of safe from a troll temporarily. And if he knows you're in there, he'll start taking that thing out, and well, eventually you're gonna have to deal with it. But I remember troll baiting, right? We would pull the troll this way and that, and try to get him into a spot, and then eventually I remember digging really deep moats so that the troll would be trapped in there, but then we could get him, and most importantly, we could get his stuff. Because the problem with trolls is they have a tendency to wander away before you can kill them, and that's just bad, right? You put all this time and effort into getting this guy down to half health, and then he gets bored and he's starting to walk away, and you're like, I'm not going to have the chance again. I need to do this. Now, again, that's old data, so I don't know if it's still like that. Maybe they nerfed trolls. Maybe they made them worse. Maybe trolls are like the bears in Vintage Story, and they can easily climb out of almost anything you dig. I don't know. But we'll soon find out. Raft is an interesting one because, I played Raft, I don't know, maybe a total of 15 or 20 hours. I did dig it. But if I remember correctly, the problem with Raft really had nothing to do with Raft. I think it was at a time that I was looking at it and I just had a big job change or, something like that. I think real life basically inflicted itself upon me, and I wasn't able to play the game as much, or any game, as much as I would like. And so, Raft was just a victim of circumstance. The bug one, Grounded or whatever it is, that one caught me off guard. I had never heard of that one, but I really like the premise. It's a survival version of first-person survival version of essentially Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, except it has nothing to do with Disney, so yay. Not that I'm anti-Disney. I'm actually a huge Disney fanboy. The problem is I'm a huge fan of Disney in the Walt Disney era, and the Disney Corporation that we have now is very much a modern corporate juggernaut that acts very much like a modern corporate juggernaut. So, yeah. That gets me off. Eric and I had a really interesting conversation once about... Hold on. There is zombies in the house. I didn't think it was that dark, though. I had a creeper, so it's dark enough, I guess. But where is... See, I think I saw movement over here. Yeah, I hear him. He's close. Oh, it's a goblin zombie. First of all, according to the mod description, these little guys will attack you on sight, and clearly they don't. All they do is they run around and make full-size zombie noises and kind of freak you out and make you paranoid. Now, obviously, if you attack them, they attack you back, but they're no big deal. So I guess what I'm saying is they're more than anything they're annoying. But what was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about Disneyland. Yeah. So Eric and I had an interesting conversation because he had moved back down to Southern California. He lived in Santa Monica, in fact, and he had a pretty nice job with Riot Games. And with a pretty nice job at Riot Games came pretty nice paycheck. So one of the first things he did was he got annual passes for Disneyland for he and his wife. And so they would go to Disneyland just for a few hours in the afternoon and the evening because they could. Now, those passes were crazy expensive. And more to the point, we were talking about when we were kids, we grew up, when I met Eric, I had moved to San Diego. So we were just an hour down the freeway. And we got to go to Disneyland fairly frequently. I mean, that was a pretty good place to go, just an hour's drive away. And, sometimes it would be for somebody's birthday, or General Dynamics always had private parties, which were particularly cool because if you knew a General Dynamics employee that you can get in and you're in Disneyland and they, had a maximum of 5,000 people in the whole park. I mean, that's actually where I got rid of my fear of roller coasters, is riding the Matterhorn 13 times in a row until I gave myself a headache, because there were so few people that I would get off the Matterhorn, run through the line as fast as I could because there's nobody else in line, and then get right back on the Matterhorn. And in fact, probably at about ride 5 or 6, if the train came in and there was nobody in line waiting, the guy says, I gotta wait like 2 minutes and then you can go, just stay where you're at. And so I didn't even have to get out of the car. So after 2 minutes, he sent me on my way, and I probably rode like 5 times in a row without even exiting the car. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome, right? Anyway, and in those days, I mean, money was more expensive than it is today. Now, look at that armor. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Of course, the shovel kind of takes it. So, no. Kind of hard to do without actually looking at my bar. And then there we go. Now that looks good. I think it looks very good. Anyway, yeah, so $1 is not what it used to be, for sure. But I remember like around 78 and 80, somewhere around there, they had switched to the all-inclusive pass. So I think you paid for admission and then you're good to go, right? You got all your rides. You didn't need the ticket system anymore, because up to that point you had to buy individual tickets. There's A tickets, B tickets, C tickets, D tickets, and of course the famous E ticket. But even then, I think those tickets were like $20. Now, even if you account for inflation, those $20 tickets were way cheaper than how much it costs to go to the park today. And this is kind of going all the way back to my point about corporate Disney versus the old content Disney that I grew up on, right? Corporate Disney has really gone out. I mean, they know what they have. It's a commodity that is woven into our cultural awareness, right? Like, there are many great amusement parks in this country, and they're all fun. But I think as a general rule, people will go crazier for going to Disney World or Disneyland than most of the others because it's Disney, right? You're paying for that brand, and they have established themselves as like a premier park experience, and they've got the characters everybody knows and loves and blah blah blah. The problem with all that is when Walt Disney made the place, his whole idea was to build a place where everybody could go. But modern Disney, the corporate version of Disney, has realized that they have a golden goose, And so they have gradually raised prices up above what the market would bear. So what they're trying to do is get the most revenue per customer. And if it turns out that it's exclusive, it turns out it's exclusive. In fact, they kind of want it to be exclusive because Disneyland especially is kind of being loved to death. If you go there during the summer, there's just too many people. I mean, you actually have to make a reservation to buy your ticket because the problem they have is that there's too many people trying to get in, and the park gets too crowded. And so, and of course, that reduces the quality of experience for everyone. So now you have the worst possible situation for a consumer, right? If something is based on supply and demand, this latency is killing me. But anyway, if something's based on supply and demand, they've got the supply, we got the demand, they can kind of ratchet up the price. And they have, to the point where I think it would have been an accessible experience for almost everybody 30 and 40 years ago. I mean, not necessarily you get to do it, twice a year or whatever, but it's certainly something that everybody would have a shot at doing once in their lifetime, to where, now there's a lot of people who it's a once in a lifetime, and a lot more people it's like, we'll just never be able to afford that. That's too bad. Makes me sad because I really, especially because Disneyland was so close and we went so often, I have a lot of really fond memories. And it wasn't just the family going either. I mean, we're close enough. I remember in fourth grade, in fourth grade, I was living in Ontario, California, and that's about 30 miles due east of Disneyland. And they had a special educational music program, right? They had America Sings, which was a bicentennial attraction. And, was it second grade? It was fourth grade. I was in fourth grade, and that was 76, in fact, 1976. So it was a bicentennial. And with America Sings, they had a lot of, songs and stuff. It was all part of the bicentennial thing. And our school actually had a field trip. So they put us on buses. We went to Disneyland for half a day. We had lunch there, rode some rides, saw the shows. Then they put us all back in the bus and we came home. Now that's pretty cool as far as field trips go. I don't think they could afford to do anything like that anymore. I mean, even if they're in the city of Anaheim and the field trip, you walked from the school to Disneyland. I don't think there's a school district in the country, a public school district at least, that could afford that. But that's too bad. Really too bad. Wow, I went in deep there. But while we're talking about that stuff, I was lucky in that, growing up in Southern California down there, Disneyland wasn't your only option, Man, this latency is kind of bad today. It was pretty good for a while. Anyway, there's Knott's Berry Farm is a very good alternative, especially if you're talking about the whole family, because there's something in there for everyone. They got some coasters, and they have some flat rides and a lot of experiences and shows. So that one's good for a family that has a mix of tastes. And of course, there's Magic Mountain, which it kind of started out that way, but it has definitely grown into a thrill seeker park, right? So it's a park known for its coasters. They got some stuff for other people, but basically, you're going to go on the same rides over and over again if you don't like coasters, because your choice of non-coasters are pretty limited. But and I haven't been to Magic Mountain, Six Flags. Well, I don't think it's Six Flags anymore, but I haven't been to Magic Mountain in a long time because when my wife gets sick on roller coasters, and then when we had the kids, at first they were pretty keen on roller coasters, and we went on roller coasters together. And at some point, they've kind of soured on roller coasters too. So I don't think I've been to Magic Mountain in like close to 30 years or 40 years. I mean, I occasionally look it up and read about it because I find all that stuff interesting. But, yeah. Too bad. Too bad. What else do they have? There's, of course, the Santa Monica Pier. I think it's Santa Monica Pier. Or is it Santa Ana Pier? Maybe it's Santa Monica Pier. That has been reborn as a mini, it's got the roller coaster and everything now. And San Diego, at the Belmont Pier, they resurrected their old roller coaster and opened up that experience. So I dig that stuff. Up here, Seattle used to have the Fun Forest inside Seattle Center, but that's gone now. So Seattle really doesn't have anything except for there's a park called Wild Waves and Enchanted Forest, and that is down. It's like halfway between Seattle and Tacoma, and it's okay. It's a water park and a small amusement park, but we're talking small. It is really small. You can get kind of the big thrill, big park feel a little bit, except that since the water park is there too, and there is a distinction kind of sort of between them, but you still have a lot of people walking around in wet bathing suits in the regular theme park side. So yeah, it's okay. The one I would love to go to, though, is actually called Oaks Park, and that's in the city of Portland, in Oregon, just over the border. It's an old trolley park, and if you don't know about trolley parks, the idea behind trolley parks was that back in the day, there were trolley cars, and trolley cars were pulled by horses. But that's it can be expensive and messy and blah blah blah. So eventually, when electricity came out, it turned out that the trolley companies really latched onto the idea right away, and so electric trolley cars were the thing. But the thing is nobody was producing electricity because nobody else needed or wanted it. So the trolley companies essentially became the original power companies, and they were producing electricity. Well, then they kind of, as the public utility, they kind of got on the hook where they had to produce it all the time. So then, people rode trolleys during the weekdays, but on the weekends. So what they did is they then started creating trolley parks at the end of the line. So then on the weekends, people would take a trolley, even on the weekend, all the way to the end of the line where they had these big parks that were set up to be like picnic areas, and they'd have, dancing and maybe a roller derby or whatever. And that's what Oaks Park is that's how it started. And now, they got a little wooden roller coaster and all this stuff, but it's very old fashioned. It's like taking a step back in time. And I would love to check that out. Very much love to check it out. But again, like I said, my wife's not into this stuff, so we'll just have to see how it goes. And of course, there's 1,000 other parks like that all across the nation that I would love to see at some time. Used to spend my summers with my dad in Ogden, Utah, and they have a lagoon, which it was a similar idea and still maintains a lot of that charm, but it's up there in Bountiful, Utah, just south of Salt Lake City, or just north of Salt Lake City. So, yeah, I like that. I remember that park. A lot of good stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I offered those as choices for the next series, is because I've always had a soft spot for them. So I have not quite every amusement park simulator out there, but I've got 70 to 80% of them. I've certainly got all the big ones, and I really enjoy those. If you can't get to a park, you can't be in a park, the next best thing is to make a park, right? And soak up the ambiance that way. So that's what I do. It's a lot of fun. You should try it. And, my philosophy on those games is like my philosophies on these games. I'm building spaces and experiences that I personally would like to enjoy firsthand if I was there. So in those games, you have scenarios. You got to complete the scenario. Usually they with all the rules active, so you have criteria you have to meet and also be profitable and all that. Excuse me, but I'm also doing it at the same time that I'm trying to build a park that I would really want to be in, that I think people will enjoy. And I know for like a lot of people, especially completionists, that goes right here. There are little tricks and exploits you can do to move further in the criteria for completing a park than you would if you just played the game normally. And I don't do that, right? Because like I said, I'm trying to create a proper park with a proper experience for proper attitude. So I don't play the exploit game. But there you go. That this time has blown past, and thank you for being with me as I yak. Hopefully it was interesting or interesting experience for you. It makes me happy, and like I said, you guys lower my blood pressure, so thank you. And I hope this in turn finds you in good health and good spirits and perhaps a touch of good fortune. Cheers.